All right, today we are diving into an incredible story, a story all about resilience and finding your purpose in, well, the most unlikely of places. We're going to be looking at the story of Joseph and what it really means to live the dream, especially when you feel completely locked up. I mean, you know the phrase, right? Someone asks, "Hey, how's it going?" And you just fire back with, "Oh, living the dream." But what you're really thinking is you're just trying to make it through the day. It's that huge gap, isn't it? The gap between where you feel you're supposed to be and where you actually are. Well, that is exactly where we find the hero of our story today.
And this just nails Joseph's situation perfectly. It's that feeling, You're stuck in a pit, you finally see a light at the end of the tunnel, and then you realize, oh no, that's an oncoming train. Just when you think it can't possibly get any worse, it does. He's literally in a pit, thrown there by his own brothers. And his big escape, his ticket out, it isn't freedom. It's the caravan of traders who are about to haul him off into slavery. His nightmare is really just getting started.
So here's the quick backstory. Joseph is the 11th son of a guy named Jacob, and he's been given these incredible, God-given dreams, visions, that he's destined for greatness, that even his own family will one day bow down to him. But his brothers, they're not fans of this idea. They are so full of resentment that they just sell him off. So much for the dream, huh?
And this is where it gets really interesting. This kind of tragic play on words. His dreams promised he was bound for greatness. But now, what's his reality? He's sold into slavery in Egypt, and he finds himself, he's just bound. The promise and the reality, they couldn't be farther apart. Okay, so let's follow him into this next phase of his journey. Joseph lands in Egypt. He gets purchased by a man named Potiphar, who's a big deal, a high-ranking officer for the pharaoh. And Joseph is just completely out of place. He has no family, no freedom, and from his perspective, absolutely no future.
This really just lays out the massive conflict, doesn't it? His dream, his calling, was to rule. His reality? He's a slave. He was supposed to oversee his family, and now he's a servant in some random Egyptian's house. How do you even begin to hold on to a dream when your reality is just so completely wrong?
But then you get this twist. The scripture describes Joseph, a captive, a slave, as a successful man. Wait, what? That's a total contradiction, right? How is that even possible? Well, the key is right there in the first part of the verse. The Lord was with Joseph. You see, his success was never, ever defined by his circumstances.
And get this, his new master, Potiphar, he sees it. He recognizes there's something different about this kid. He notices that pretty much everything Joseph touches just prospers. So what happens? This young slave gets promoted. He starts climbing the ladder from the very bottom rung all the way up to being the overseer of Potiphar's entire household. And this right here, this is the heart of it all. Joseph understood that his identity wasn't slave. No way. It was rooted in his God-given calling to rule and to oversee. So that's what he did. He just operated in that calling no matter where he was. It didn't matter if it was his dream job or a nightmare. He just served with excellence.
So things are finally starting to look up for him. And you know what that means, right? It's time for another challenge. But this time, it's not an external problem. This is an internal test, a test of his character, and it's coming directly from his master's wife.
Yeah, this next part is all about one thing, integrity. And let's be honest, it's pretty easy to have strong moral principles when everything's going great. But Joseph's integrity, it's about to be put under some serious, intense, daily pressure. So Potiphar's wife, she repeatedly tries to seduce him. And Joseph's response is just fascinating. He doesn't just say, "Hey, I can't betray my master Potiphar." His first thought is, how could I do this great wickedness and sin against God? You see, his ultimate loyalty wasn't to his boss, it was to his core beliefs, to his relationship with God.
Finally, she gets desperate. She literally grabs him by his coat. And think about this. Just like his brothers stripped him of his first coat, this is another symbolic attack, another attempt to strip him of his identity, of his authority. He runs for it, he gets away, but he leaves that crucial piece of physical evidence, his garment, in her hands.
And for doing the right thing, for holding on to his integrity, what's his big reward? He gets falsely accused by this furious woman, and his master, Potiphar, throws him into the king's prison. Unbelievable.
Can you even imagine the emotional whiplash? He goes from the pit to a position of real authority, and now, boom, he's in an even worse spot. a dungeon. It seems like every single time he starts to get some solid ground under his feet, the rug is just yanked out from under him again. And this just brings up a really tough question, one for all of us, really. What do you do when doing the right thing makes everything worse? When you stand for something, you make that honorable choice, and as a direct result, your life completely falls apart. How do you possibly respond to that kind of injustice?
All right, so this brings us to the final chapter of his story. For now, Joseph is locked up, he's confined, there's no apparent way out. But even here, trust me, his story is far from over. Are you starting to see the pattern here? Just like in Potiphar's house, we get this incredible line again, but the Lord was with Joseph. Even in this literal dungeon, this dark place, divine favor just followed him. It was never about his location. It was always about his character.
And what happens next is just incredible. We see the exact same pattern from Potiphar's house play out all over again. The head of the prison sees the same qualities in him that Potiphar did, and he ends up putting Joseph in charge of the entire prison. He goes from prisoner to deputy, because a calling like that, a calling to lead, it just can't be contained by prison walls. So, when you boil it all down, how did he do it? How did he stay so resilient? Well, it came down to a few core things. 1, he never lost his identity. He knew who he was. 2, he never compromised his integrity, not for a second. 3, he didn't waste time complaining. He just kept serving. And finally, he honored God right where he was, not waiting for things to get better first.
So when you step back and look at his whole journey, his external situation was just constant chaos. From a pit to a palace to a prison, his life was this insane roller coaster of extreme highs and absolutely devastating lows.
But here's the thing. While all of his circumstances were changing, Joseph did not. His identity, his integrity, his core character, it all remained constant. And that leaves us with a really powerful question to chew on. Your circumstances, they're changing all the time. The real question is, do you?